Life certainly is different now, but one thing hasn't changed, and that's no matter who you are, education has the power to bring out your potential, to propel you forward, no matter your background, where you are from, or what you want to achieve. At NBCC, we're still committed to hands-on learning and instructor-led education, whether that's in person or virtually through connected classrooms. Just remember, education knows no boundaries, and neither should you.
Well, good morning, everyone. Bon matin à tous. Welcome to this morning's Breakfast and Learn, Atelier de matin, presented by the Chamber of Commerce for Greater Moncton. My name is John Wishart, and I'm the CEO of the Chamber, and I will act as your host and moderator of today's presentation. I want to thank you for tuning in this morning as we discuss today's topic, financial literacy, helping your business and your employees, Littératie financière pour venir en aide à votre entreprise et vos employés. Before we dive into the topic, I would like to thank NBCC for their continued sponsorship of our entire Breakfast and Learn series. Avant de vous présenter notre prochain conférencier, je veux vous rappeler que vous pouvez poser une question à tout moment pendant la présentation en utilisant la fonction Q&A au bas de l'écran Zoom, and we'll get to as many questions as we can as time allows at the end of the presentation. So today's webinar is presented in partnership with CPA New Brunswick. The Chartered Professional Accountants are not just professional business advisors, they provide free, unbiased educational sessions to local businesses. Whether it's understanding financial statements or the importance of financial ratios, or booking a session for your employees on saving strategies, or perhaps 10 healthy habits of financial management, we encourage you to learn about these free resources to support local businesses and workers. And today we're very fortunate and pleased to have with us Danielle Pironi, Manager of Public Relations and Business Development at CPA New Brunswick, to talk about the importance of financial literacy to you as business leaders and to your employees. Danielle is a versatile communications, marketing, and education professional, gaining her work experience in New Brunswick, as well as in Glasgow in the west of Scotland. She has worked in education, both secondary and post-secondary, gaming, finance, and not-for-profits. She's an enthusiastic people person, and I can attest to that especially loves the relationship-building facets of her job. And in her role with CPA New Brunswick, she has the pleasure of managing the volunteer programs, in particular the free financial literacy education sessions, where members volunteer their time and expertise with community groups, such as Chamber, on various financial topics, and tax clinics, where CPAs assist eligible New Brunswickers with filing their income tax returns. Elles s'efforcent également de rehausser le profil des CPA Nouveau-Brunswick, car les CPA sont une excellente ressource pour leur organisation et elles veulent les aider à se faire entendre auprès des secteurs politiques et communautaires également, afin que tous les Néo-Brunswickois puissent bénéficier de leur croissance et de leur expérience. On a personal note, I've known Danielle for many, many years, and I've always enjoyed her enthusiasm, her positive attitude about whatever it is that she's involved in. And with that intro, it's now my pleasure to turn the floor over to Danielle for today's presentation. Danielle?
Thank you so much, John. And I have to start with an apology. We started a few minutes late, and that was my fault. John and I were swapping stories about our relations over in Europe and COVID and all that good stuff. So good morning and welcome. Bienvenue à cet atelier du matin sur la littératie financière. Merci aux chambres de commerce du Grand Moncton de m'avoir invité. And thank you for the introduction, John. I'm just it's such a pleasure to be here. I also want to thank NBCC for their sponsorship. I have personal connections to NBCC. I have taught there at the evening classes in the past, and I have a family member working at the Moncton campus. So I'm going to, before I go any further, figure out how to share my screen. Xavier gave me a wee tutorial before I started. So can you see a title screen that says Breakfast and Learn?
We can.
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you for the confirmation. Right, so I'm going to chat away in the corner here. So as John mentioned, my name is Danielle Pironi. I'm the Manager of Public Relations and Business Development for the Chartered Professional Accountants of New Brunswick. Going forward, I will mostly say CPA New Brunswick, as Chartered Professional Accountants is a mouthful. I have to admit, I've attended many Zoom calls over the last 15, 16 months, as we all have, but I haven't done much presenting. I'm a wee bit nervous. I can prove to you that I'm nervous because I woke up in a sweat this morning. I had a dream that I was on my way to give this presentation, and a colleague said, "Oh, I've got this awesome image. You can use this image in your presentation. Stop by and get it." And I was in their office chatting to them and looked down at it. It's 8 o'clock. I was supposed to start the presentation and woke up in a panic. So between being a wee bit nervous and between having my Scottish influence, I tend to speak quite quickly. So if I get too fast, I'm counting on Xavier or John to shout at me, or you folks tap it into the chat, say, "Can he understand you? Going too quickly," and they'll tell me to slow down. Je m'appelle Danielle Pironi, je suis gérante en relations publiques et développement des affaires pour les comptables professionnels agréés du Nouveau-Brunswick. Ça me fait grandement plaisir de vous parler ce matin de notre programme gratuit de littératie financière. Je vais faire la plupart de ma présentation en anglais, mais si vous avez des questions en français, n'hésitez pas. Je veux souligner aussi que toutes nos sessions sont également disponibles en français et notre site web est aussi bilingue. So as I mentioned, I have the pleasure of working for the Chartered Professional Accountants of New Brunswick. In case you don't know much about CPA, I'll give you the 2-minute tour. CPA is a professional organization representing more than 3,000 active and retired members in our province, as well as 300 future CPAs. So these are students and candidates in the process of getting their designation. CPA NB is responsible for regulating the professional development of its members and for the protection of the public through its ethical standards and discipline process. We are also part of CPA Canada, which is our national body, and they represent more than 200,000 professional accountants across Canada and Bermuda, which makes the Canadian CPA designation one of the top 5 accounting designations in the world. CPAs work in every sector of New Brunswick. They're involved in a wide range of complex disciplines, from financial reporting, finance, taxation, to areas you might not expect, like strategy, governance, assurance, performance management, information technology, to name a few. They offer a strong set of accounting and managerial skills required for today's complex and evolving environment. And throughout their professional careers, CPAs are subject to ongoing regulation, and that's to protect the public interest. But as John mentioned, CPAs are not only professional business advisors, they also volunteer their time and their expertise for numerous community projects and charitable organizations. As a professional association for accountants, we found that our members really were keen to give back to their communities and they want to really participate in the places where they live and work. So we have, in addition to, like, for example, serving on boards in a volunteer capacity, we have our community income tax, volunteer income tax program, which CPA organizes in partnership with the CRA, Canada Revenue, where many of our members assist New Brunswickers with a simple tax situation and a moderate income to file their income taxes, and that's for free. Our other flagship volunteering program, which will be the bulk of my presentation today, are our free financial literacy sessions, education sessions. Just a wee hot tip for you, since you came this morning, so you'll be the first to hear about this. CPA New Brunswick is also interested in thought leadership and in improving the socioeconomic condition of New Brunswick. So we commissioned earlier this year in 2021, a survey of licensed nursing homes in New Brunswick to explore the impact of the current pandemic on our long-term care facilities and our senior care. The results of that survey will be released next week. We will be issuing a discussion paper entitled "The Health Status of Seniors in New Brunswick and the Future of Long-Term Care." So if you're interested in receiving a copy, please get in touch with me. It will also be available on our website as of Monday. I should also mention the Chamber, along with your sign-in details, should have sent you a one-page reference document. So that has links to all the various websites that I'll be mentioning, so where you can find all the resources I'll be talking about. as well as my contact details. I do like chatting with people. John's right about that. So I'm always happy to have a phone call or respond to an email. So if you have any questions for today's presentation, please reach out. If for some reason you didn't get that one-page document with the web links, let me know at the end of the presentation. I'll get your email and I'll send it to you. So before I get into the specifics of our program, I want to share a little bit of background with you as to why it exists. Why is it important? Why do our members want to share their time and expertise with their fellow New Brunswickers? Well, if you have a wee look at the slide, this won't be a surprise to anyone. Canadians generally borrow and spend too much, and they don't save enough. And you're all intelligent people. I don't need to get into the implications of why that's a major problem. Financial services and products can be complicated, and a lack of knowledge on how they work can shame people into staying quiet. Not everyone wants to ask about how charges and fees and payment terms work because they might feel a little bit afraid to ask, or they might feel a little bit ashamed that they don't already know how that works, even though that's not really covered in our public school system. So one of the things we're trying to do with the financial literacy program is fill those gaps in education and provide Canadians with that kind of knowledge. Another issue that's out there in the vast world of financial products is that many of us get our education at point of purchase. And what that means is the guy that's signing you up for the credit card is the one that's explaining how it works. That information isn't necessarily transparent or unbiased. And this can lead to consumers overpaying and overbuying. So I'm going to grab a drink of water. Let's talk about some numbers, because I work for CPAs and they love numbers. So 102,144, that's the total number of insolvencies in Canada for the 12 months ending on November 30th, 2020. In New Brunswick specifically, 3,422 of the total 3,441 insolvencies were filed by consumers. That means it's mostly individuals that are filing for proposals and bankruptcies. Like 99% of the filings in New Brunswick are individuals, not businesses. Almost a third of Canadians believe that they have too much debt. Canadians are using a variety of credit products to finance a wide range of goods and services. They're using debt to buy a house, to finance a vehicle, to pay for their education, and to make day-to-day purchases. That's where the credit cards come in. You have to be careful with those. It's not necessarily a bad thing to buy on credit, but the problem is that not everyone is aware of how much that credit is costing them in fees and interest rates, nor is everyone able to keep up with their payments. At the moment, about 2/3 of Canadians, 65%, are keeping up with their bills and payments, but a growing share are facing financial pressures. In particular, people under 65 are much more likely to be struggling to meet their financial commitments. Now, I can't see you out there in Cyberland. I'm kind of sitting in a room talking to myself. But given the demographics of the Greater Moncton Chamber of Commerce membership, I'm assuming many of the people on the call today are business owners and managers. So these stats up on the screen now are frightening on the individual level, but they're even of greater concern if you're trying to run a business. If you have employees that are stressed out about their finances or their lack of knowledge, that stress can't help but bleed over into their physical and mental health, and so into their work life. For example, to take one number off the screen there, 44% of people who reported suffering from migraines also reported that they have high stress associated with debt. And that's compared to 15% of people who reported they had low stress associated with debt. It goes without saying, these pandemic times are stressful enough. We don't need anything else additional to worry about, particularly when there are free resources to help us make better financial decisions. And spoiler alert, that's where the Chartered Professional Accountants of New Brunswick can help. So I personally truly believe that financial literacy is critical to the prosperity and the well-being of New Brunswickers. All New Brunswickers, we all need to know about this. We all have to deal with finances on some level. So what exactly is financial literacy? Having the skills, knowledge, and confidence to make responsible financial decisions. Sure, fine, that definition sounds simple, but there's a lot of really loaded terms in there. Excuse me, so I'd like to break it down a wee bit. So first, let's take knowledge. Knowledge refers to an understanding of personal as well as broader financial matters. That's where you have to start from. If you don't have a basic knowledge, it's very difficult to make appropriate decisions. Skills refer to the ability to apply that knowledge in everyday life. Once you have knowledge, then you can start to take action. Confidence means having the self-assurance to make important decisions. This is the antidote to the shame and the fear that we talked about earlier. The confidence to ask questions and to use that information to make the best decisions for your own personal situation. And then, of course, responsible financial decisions refers to the ability of individuals to use the knowledge, skills, and confidence they've gained to make appropriate choices. So in other words, that's putting it all together. So armed with these financial knowledge, skills, and confidence, Canadians are better able to make day-to-day choices about how they spend their money and stay on top of their financial obligations. It helps them to navigate the ever-changing financial marketplace and buy the products and services that make the most sense for their own needs, not the needs of their friends, not the needs of people you see on Facebook. It helps Canadians and New Brunswickers plan ahead about how to use their hard-earned dollars for life goals, whether that's buying a home or preparing for retirement or saving for a child's education. All that stuff works much better when you think about it in advance. It helps us deal with local, provincial, and national government programs and systems, which can be complicated and confusing, even for people who work with them every day. Being financially literate means having the skills to evaluate the financial information and advice they get, whether that's from friends, from the media, from professionals that they consult with. And this is a big one for me, because when I say evaluate, it really means employ critical thinking. Like that thing you saw on Facebook, is that actually good advice? Should you maybe confirm that information with a reputable source before you act on it? Is it something that's going to benefit you and really applies to your situation? So financial literacy lets New Brunswickers make the best use of the resources they do have. And that's everything. That's workplace benefits, private and public pensions, tax credits, public benefits, investments, home equity if you own your own home, access to credit, and consumer spending power. There's a lot going on in our financial lives, and burying our heads in the sand is not the answer. So hopefully by now I've convinced you of the importance of financial literacy in both our personal and our professional lives. So now we're getting to the good stuff, as far as I'm concerned. How can a chartered professional accountant help you? Many of you may employ CPAs on your staff, or you might hire a CPA firm to help you with your financial statements and tax filings. There's absolutely no doubt that chartered professional accountants are trusted business advisors. They're ready and able to promote the socioeconomic well-being of everyone. That's our mission. But in addition to their professional activities, many CPAs also volunteer for our financial literacy program. And because our members volunteer their time, we're able to offer these educational sessions to community groups and workplaces free of charge, with the goal of sharing unbiased, objective financial information. Just as an aside, so seriously do we take the requirement that it's objective information? There's no selling of any products at all. That, for example, if a bank or an insurance company or an organization like that came to me and said, do you know what, we want to promote financial literacy too, because many of them do. Many of them have their own programs, which are great. We want to give you some sponsorship dollars to help you run your program. I'd have to say no, because I can't have even the appearance of favoring one institution or one specific product over another, because our program is about education and not advice. And we're very careful too. Our volunteers are often approached at the end of a session saying, well, which, I don't know, our RRSP provider do you recommend? And it's like, well, we can't recommend a provider. We can tell you how our RRSPs work and the advantages of them and the benefits. But this is giving you information to make decisions for your situation. So the goal of our program is we want to help improve the overall state of financial literacy in New Brunswick and in Canada. We offer sessions to schools, community organizations, and the workplaces who request them. It's that simple. ask and we shall come. Our sessions take the form of 1 hour long presentations. So that's roughly about 45 minutes of education and then time at the end for Q&As. They are available in English ou en français, and they are delivered exclusively by chartered professional accountants, the best in their field. I should note that while our FinLit program used to be delivered in person, and I hope that we get back to that someday soon, these sessions are currently available on a virtual basis. So we work with the host organizations, and the hosts are just whichever community organization, workplace, school, whoever requested the session, because we present to groups, not on an individual basis. In the before times, the host used to provide a physical location, and they would invite their members or their employees to come take in the session. And then the CPAs would come and bring the expertise. So right now we're offering the financial literacy sessions via Zoom or similar platforms to host organizations who have the technical resources to support this. Our sessions, we have more than 45 of them. There's a whole bunch to choose from, and they're organized by audience. So that's the list you're seeing on the screen just there. Most of the sessions are aimed at middle income Canadians. When this program was being put together, they figured high net worth individuals can probably afford their own financial advisors, but we're going to try and target the average Canadian, if you like. But we do also have a series for the moderate to low income space as well. The topics that we offer cover all stages of life, from needs versus wants in our elementary program, to how to be a good financial role model for parents, to retirement planning, fraud prevention. I'm not going to read all 45 sessions, but there are a lot of them. We also have a series for entrepreneurs and for small and medium enterprises. And that's what I'll be spending most of the coming slides on, telling you what's in that program. Our members that volunteer for the financial literacy program, they all come to it for different reasons. Some of them want to go to their kids' school virtually at the moment and share this information with their kids' classes. Financial literacy is starting to make its way into the curriculum, but it's not a big part of it yet. So we're trying to help teachers by providing that information. Some of our members are newcomers themselves, and they appreciate the importance of understanding the Canadian banking system when you're new to a country. Some of our volunteers give lunch and learn sessions at their workplaces. So I'm proceeding on the assumption that many of the people on the call will own or work for a small or medium enterprise. So I'm going to focus on that part of our program. But if that's not you, don't worry. Near the end of the presentation, I'll also mention some of our more popular sessions for the general population. And again, I'm going to mention that electronic handout you should have received. That will have all the website links, which will give you a list of our full catalog, all the sessions available you can pick from, and how to book a session. Oh, and you get a prize. This is your prize for sticking with me this long. Normally, if I was doing this presentation in person, I would bring small gifts with me and I would give them to you. I have piggy banks. So if you want to email me after this presentation and you don't mind sharing your address, I'll send you a wee swag bag. So we have 8 sessions aimed at small and medium businesses, and a further 3, especially for entrepreneurs, if that's more where you're at. So let's have a look at what you can pick from. Our first and most popular session for SMEs is Understanding Financial Statements. This covers the basics around the terms and concepts of financial statements. The big goal with this session is to give you a solid background so that you're able to ask informed questions of financial professionals that you may deal with. If you take our Understanding Financial Statements session and that only whets your appetite, then you're in luck, because we also have a session. Oh, I turned off my video. I'm sorry about that. Do you see me now? Yeah, I wondered where I went. Yeah, so if you can't get enough of financial statements, then you can ask for our advanced financial statements session. In this one, you'll learn about the more complex side of financial statements, such as accrued payables, work in process, and non-operating income. Financial ratios and why they matter to your business. The excitement is palpable for this session. I can just feel it over the internet. You're like, yeah, this is the one I want. Financial ratio session is about interpreting the results you get so you can become better managers. It helps you understand questions like, how profitable is my business? How do my profits compare to the industry? Can we pay the bills? Am I getting a return on my investment? These are crucial questions for a business to succeed, but not everyone takes the time to consider them. And to be fair, if you don't have a financial background, they're really intimidating questions. So this session will give you the background and the basics to start to think about them. This session, the money side of business, is one of our most popular SME sessions. It aims to help you better understand the basic tools and techniques of financial management. So that includes budget creation, monitoring, cash management. A part that I really like about this session is it also gives you the tools to assess your most profitable customers and products. It's really good information to have. Also a popular session, growth and expansion, how to best grow your business. It covers the financial implications of growth on a business, and more importantly, how to plan for growth. And is this even the right time for growth? There's a whole bunch of tools you can use to assess where you're at and make an informed decision on if now is the time to be growing or not. If any of you read the Fredericton Chamber magazine, you might have seen we did this session earlier in the year for the Women in Business New Brunswick Network. We had a province-wide Zoom webinar for them, and they found it really helpful. Pardon me. Getting money, what investors and lenders want, is another really popular session in our SME section. If you want to understand how a bank or an investor will evaluate your business, what are the differences, as well as the advantages and the disadvantages between lenders versus investors? How do you prepare your financial statements and your business plans if you're looking to request a loan or to request an investment to get it in the best shape possible for a successful reply? Then this is the session for you. Okay, just a few more to go. You guys are doing great. Thank you for staying with me. A healthy balance sheet and why it matters is all about understanding what constitutes a healthy balance sheet and how to create one. It also helps you assess how to cure an unhealthy balance sheet. I think I should have picked a different image for this slide. That lassie doesn't look too pleased, eh? She needs to hire a CPA to help her with her finances. This is maybe what I was dreaming about. Should have got a different image. Right. Maximizing your business is all about the cash management, working capital, operational efficiency. It goes over techniques to project and analyze your business's cash needs so that ultimately you can spend less cash to operate your business. So those are the 8 sessions, the education sessions that we've designed specifically for small and medium enterprises. As a reminder, they are about an hour long each. They're available in English ou en français. And they all come with a chance to ask questions at the end, which is helpful. Most of them too also have like handouts and takeaways, PDFs that your participants can have for them afterwards. But what if you're still establishing your business? Or what if you're toying with a new business idea? For entrepreneurs, we have 3 financial literacy sessions available just for you. The top 5 mistakes startups make. I think they've come up with catchy titles for these. I like them. This is our entry-level session, if you like. It's aimed at entrepreneurs that have been in business for 3 years or less. These will give you solid tips about what your business needs. I'm having trouble reading my notes here. What your business needs to help you get through those critical first years of operations. So it's things like have a business plan. You'd be amazed how many people start a business without a business plan. That's a mistake. Once your business has passed that critical 3-year mark, I'd recommend the session Financial Survival for Entrepreneurs. Now that your business is on steadier ground, are you ready to expand? Are you monitoring and understanding your key financial indicators? Do you even know what those are? This session will help prepare you to keep building your business. Finally, the last in our entrepreneur series is called Your Numbers, Your Story, which looks at entrepreneurship through the lens of what it means to be a woman entrepreneur. So on this slide, I promised I'd talk about the larger program as well as what we have specifically for small and medium enterprises and entrepreneurs. So on this slide, I've included a small sample of the 30 plus other sessions you can pick from in our financial literacy stable. I fully realize you're not just business people. So if you're a member of a community organization that you think might benefit from one of these sessions, or you want to mention this program to your child's teacher, please spread the word. I've mentioned it's free, right? At the moment, all we need is someone with Teams or Zoom or something we can use to virtually get into their room. A quick note on the school program. It is divided by different age categories. So we target grade 4 and 5 in elementary school, grades 7 and 8 in middle school, and grades 10 and 11 in high school. And we also do have a post-secondary program aimed at college and university age students. So to mention briefly a few of these, because they're the most popular ones. That's the why I picked them and threw them up on the slide. How to teach your kids about money is very popular with parents or really anyone that have young people in their lives. Effective tax strategies goes over the basics of the tax system. And this session is updated every year to reflect changes the government makes to income tax credits and deductions. I should say that CPA Canada, our national partner on this program, they do review these sessions continually. And so the information is always bang up to date. Survive and thrive after job loss. If you do end up in this position, this session helps you understand how to budget after job loss, learning how to deal with debt, and it reviews other options such as becoming a contractor or starting your own business or possibly going back to school or retraining. Planning for retirement. This is a super important one. It's never too early, also never too late, to think about how you're going to finance your lifestyle once you stop working. Government benefits alone will not be enough, and that's a stark reality. And we really need to educate New Brunswickers and Canadians on how to start putting money aside for themselves. So that they're not forced to work longer than they want to. Fraud protection for seniors is one of the sessions we offer. We do have a general fraud protection session, but unfortunately, seniors are one of the main targets of fraudsters. So we have a session especially for that age cohort. And tips and secrets smart Canadians know. That's part of our series for newcomers to Canada. It goes over the basics of banking in Canada, how credit works here, an introduction to the taxation system. That session specifically is aimed at people who are newly in the country, but we have another session aimed at immigrants who've been here a little bit longer, and we also have a session specifically for newcomers that's all about the Canadian tax system. So here's something I haven't mentioned yet. How do you get a session? You ask for CPA to come present to your group or to your workplace. It's as easy as filling out an online form. I don't know if it'll be really clear on the screen here, but this is it. You fill in a few boxes, name, contact information, which session you want. So again, on that handout, there's links to all our financial literacy sessions. You pick the one you want. At the bottom will be a button saying request a session. This form will come up. We ask for 8 to 12 weeks notice to give us time to find someone. What's kind of fun actually right now with the virtual sessions is we're not limited by geography. So a CPA in any corner of New Brunswick can present to a business in any corner of New Brunswick because we're all doing it via virtual means. In the past, I've had trouble with having to cancel sessions, due to snowstorms because CPAs couldn't travel. But at the moment, it's all virtual. You can also email me or call me if you want to request a specific session or if you have questions about what's covered in the session. The website does a pretty good job. It gives an outline, but I'm always here to chat and I'm always happy if you need more information to speak to you. Et voilà le formulaire en français. So, as I say, disponible en anglais ou en français. Request in the language of your choice. You'll find our session list online at cpacanada.ca/FinLit request session ou en français cpacanada.ca Atelier Literate. You worry pas, these links are all in the reference sheet, just mentioning them in case you're extra keen. So that is my pitch for CPA New Brunswick's financial literacy program. But I am going to take the last couple slides to share with you some other free resources that CPA offers that you might find useful. So here on the screen, I've got a screenshot of a few of our Just the Facts infographic sheets. Again, these are divided by audience. And so whether you're, adult, school program, newcomer to Canada, business owner, those are the main ones, yeah. And they are available in both English and in French. They're one page each, they're infographic style. I like to think of them as like income tax in 2 minutes or less. It's just a really quick overview, very objective. Here's just the basics, just a quick introduction. For most of these, incidentally, so they are all available on our website. I've included the link in that information page. So you can read them yourself, you can print them off yourself. They're there as PDFs. I do have a supply of these already printed, and I do have some in poster format. So if you do go onto the Just the Facts page and find something you think is really useful and you want that poster up in your break room, reach out to me. If I have it, I'll happily send it to you. So yeah, these are really good overviews, kind of gives you a place to start if there's something like cryptocurrency that you know absolutely nothing about. So CPA Canada's National Financial Literacy Program has been on the go since 2014. And they put a lot of work every year into reviewing the content, as I mentioned, to make sure it's relevant and up to date. And they usually add new sessions every year. But they did something that I think is even more amazing in 2020, and they're carrying it on in 2021. And that's their CARE packages. So CARE, C-A-R-E, stands for CPA Professions Aid and Recovery Education packages. The tagline that we use when we're marketing this is we say, get the financial resources and materials needed to help you cope with or alleviate stress during this uncertain time with the help of our CARE packages. But basically what they've done is they've pulled together all the existing financial literacy resources and information we have, and there's a lot of them, as well as stuff from, for example, various government websites, like on the different benefits, and a slew of other COVID-related information in the form of webinars and podcasts. So what kind of happened is the sessions that I've been talking about are financial literacy sessions. That's like a stable list, and they're updated, as information changes. But COVID, everything was happening so fast. They thought, right, how can we get information out there quickly? And that's why they went with the format of podcasts and webinars. They had expert CPAs in their field, in taxation, for example, would come on and would answer questions about, how income tax was different this year in post-COVID world. So the link for the CARE package is cpacanada.ca/WeCare. Also on the one-page resource sheet that you received, as well as I put a link for resources to managing small business finances, which has even more toolkits and webinars. There's so much good information out there, but what I love about the CARE packages is that they've taken it and put it all together on one page. So it takes a lot of the guesswork and the research out of looking for help. And it's from a reputable source. So if you go look at the CARE packages online, you'll see there's webinars, honest talks with the experts. So that's that kind of interview format, podcast, tools, articles, link to government support. So kind of COVID specific. I don't like to talk about COVID too much. We all hear more than we want to about it. But there's no doubt that it does affect our reality and affects our finances. So here's some kind of more COVID specific resources that you can use. So I'm going to wrap up now, and John will let me know if there are any questions. But I do want to thank you. Thank you for listening to me talk. I get very excited about the financial literacy program, and I can't say enough about the volunteers and how awesome it is to work with them, because they really just do this out of the goodness of their hearts. So it's a pleasure to be involved with the program. Don't forget to email me. If you email me, I will send you a swag pack. And I guess I'll see, John, has anyone asked any questions?
Thanks very much. Merci, Danielle. It is now time for the Q&A. So if you'd like to pop a question using the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen, please do so. There is a question, Danielle. Is there anything specific for single mothers? Do they fit in any of these buckets in terms of groups?
I would say not specific to single mothers, but we do have a series aimed at low and moderate income Canadians, which may include single mothers. Like, I don't like to generalize, but if they're in kind of that lower wage bracket, then those sessions I think would be appropriate for them.
Okay. Second question is somebody who's a sole entrepreneur who's asked, does he have to, or she, get a one-on-one session, or do they have to be part of a group session, or are there recordings? You mentioned the small business resources. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So just before I answer that, I should say the sessions we have for moderate and low income Canadians, that's called Stretching Your Dollar. That's the name of that series. So when you go online and you see Stretching Your Dollar, those will be the low and moderate. Yeah, for the solo entrepreneur, the program is designed to be presented to groups. So we prefer to not just be presenting to one person. It's part of the kind of education focus rather than advice. But I mean, if you want to grab a couple friends and request a session, that's cool. Although definitely a great place to start are those care packages. There is a care package for small and medium businesses. And there you'll see some podcasts and webinars and toolkits that might get you started.
Great, thanks very much. As you were talking and outlining the small business sessions and then the entrepreneur sessions, it occurred to me that the Chamber and CPA New Brunswick should perhaps be working even more closely together to package these and present these to those sectors of the business community. I think that would be a great resource. So.
I'd love to do that, John. We do that kind of thing with the Women in Business New Brunswick Network, for example, and that might be a good solution for our solopreneur who asked the question. We could maybe present an entrepreneur session and invite some chamber members.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so we'll talk after the session. Okay.
Awesome.
I have a couple of sort of curveball questions for you, Danielle. So you have your running shoes on. One is like this, to me, I've always thought that there should be a mandatory financial literacy course taught in schools. As you know, I have 3 kids. One of them's pretty good at finances. The other 2, maybe not so much. So what are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts personally, I agree with you, John. We're quietly working to promote that. For example, there are some teachers that I work with through the financial literacy program. So, for example, who have requested sessions for their students in the school, and they are great ambassadors. We do promote these sessions to all the different school districts across the province. My experience has been that if you can find a really enthusiastic teacher or a resource person in the school, they are amazing, because then they talk about it to the other staff, and then you start to get requests for that school. One of the challenges with this program, I think it's amazing and it's absolutely 100% free, but not a lot of people know about it. One of the reasons I wanted to give this session this morning to help spread the word. We also are working with a couple of key teachers. I call them key teachers because they have personal interest in financial literacy. Their normal subject is math in the high schools, but they're trying to bring a financial literacy component. So, for example, CPA New Brunswick has sponsored attendance at financial literacy conferences for some of the teachers, so that they can go and get those resources and bring them back into their schools.
Right. You mentioned right off the top that controlling spending is one of the key sort of stressors for people. Does CPA have any stats on whether during COVID we've continued to spend too much, or have we sort of backed off?
I can only speak anecdotally to kind of what I've seen in my personal life and all the new decks that have gone up in my neighborhood. There seems to be a sense, and probably everyone on the call has either seen this or heard these stories. There seems to be a sense of, we can't spend money on our holidays, so we're going to renovate inside the house or build a new deck or whatever it may be. Certainly the home hardwares of the city seem to be bustling all the time. But actual statistics, I don't have any to hand, so I'm not going to make any up. But what I will offer is that nationally, CPA Canada does do, I believe, their quarterly surveys with Canadians on spending habits. They do one like around Christmas time focused on holiday spending, but they have a summer series as well. So I will look that up for you, John, and send you the links. And if anyone else on the call is interested, they can ask, and I'll share those links.
Thank you, Danielle. One final question. You mentioned the link between mental health and financial literacy, which I thought was really important, especially here during COVID, because we've been hearing and talking so much about the importance of mental health. Can you just talk maybe a little bit more about that and how the two maybe are linked?
Yeah, sure. So I think increasingly there's an awareness that physical and mental health are linked, right? Like if you have anxiety, stress, some kind in your life, you're going to have headaches, heart palpitations, queasy stomach, whatever it might be. There's a lot of back and forth with that. If you are, I don't know, lying awake at night, worried about how you're going to pay your bills, lack of sleep and all those other associated physical symptoms aren't going to help you go into work the next day and perform well at your job. You're not going to be your best for your family and your other obligations. And where I think that's such a shame is that to a large extent, you can control your finances. Like you might not be able to snap your fingers and get a really high paying job the next day, but you can work with what you have. You can understand, for example, if you have a credit card, what's the interest on that? Should you be carrying debt on a credit card? Could you consolidate onto a credit line and pay a lower interest rate if you're carrying debt, for example? Those are basics. If no one's ever talked to you about this, if you got your first credit card in university where all those are lined up and everyone's pitching, free swag at you to sign up with your credit card and you don't understand you're paying 30% interest rate, that's scary because and that's why I think I mentioned at one point, it's people under 65 have the most stress because there's a generational thing, right? Like there's a generation that grew up without a lot of money. And so we're much more conscious about how they spent their money. But current generations coming up have such easy access to credit that it's quite frightening because they can take on huge levels of debt that will take them a lifetime to pay off.
Mm-hmm. A great point. As the father of some 3 kids who have a lot of student debt, I understand where you're coming from. So I'm afraid that's all the time we have. And I'd like to thanks very much Danielle Pironi from CPA New Brunswick for shedding some light on the importance of financial literacy. I encourage all of you to learn more about the services that the CPA New Brunswick offers to the business community, and we'll follow up to see how we can work with through the chamber on some of these sessions. They really are a great community resource. Avant de terminer la séance d'aujourd'hui, je tiens à mentionner que notre prochain atelier de matin aura lieu le 9 juin. It will feature 2 legal experts from McGuinness Cooper speaking on the topic of coping with COVID-19, employee COVID testing and vaccinations, which is going to be very important as people return to the workplace. Also, don't forget registrations are now open for our annual CCGM golf tournament to be held August the 19th at Royal Oaks. And nominations are also open for annual Business Excellence Awards, which will be presented on October 20th. We hope at least part in person. We're planning for every eventuality in person, hybrid, and online. But we have our fingers crossed that we'll be perhaps back in green by then. So you can check out our website, ccgm.ca, for information on all these events. Thanks again to Danielle and to CPA New Brunswick for joining us today. Thanks to all of you for joining and listening in. We hope you found value. We are sure that you have. Merci de vous être rejoints à nous. Please stay safe, and we hope to see you again live and in person real soon. Bye for now.